Welcome to A Cup of Happy. I'm your host, life coach, mom, and friend, Nicole James. I'm so glad you've joined me to talk about life and the journey from our past to our future as we navigate the present in order to create our very best life. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's chat over a cup of happy. Hi friends, and welcome back to another episode. This is A Cup of Happy, and my name is Nicole James. Today you're going to meet Jhaniyah Holland. Jhaniyah sits down with me and tells her story. Her story is one of perseverance and learning how to make the best of a life when she was not dealt the best of hands. I hope that if you find some inspiration in her words, that you will reach out to her. Her information will be linked in the show notes. So, I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. Here is my conversation with Jhaniyah Holland. Jhaniyah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, in this series, as you know, like when we talked, this is a series all about trauma and coming out on the other side of it and creating a life that's beautiful. But your story is slightly different. Absolutely. Because a lot of people have these instances of trauma or these moments or a season of trauma, and then they kind of come through on the other side. Mm-hmm. Whereas your story is ongoing. Yes. Like it's never really stopped.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your life, like start from the beginning, like growing up.
Okay, so I am really close with my dad and my dad's side of the family. Mm-hmm. I think that my mother's addiction kind of started when I was 5, which is when my little brother was born. And I think it kind of started when she was pregnant with him. And I'll never forget, like, an instance when I really realized it was happening. An incident where she was, like, not in her right state of mind. And I kind of, like, freaked out because I was still young. And she was still present. Like, when my mother was sober, she was the best mother ever. Like, I always tell people that, like, my mother made me the mother I am today. Like, I always try to reflect on how she treated me when she was in her right state of mind because it was just so good. Like, it was so good. Like, she was a really good mother. So fast forward to when she was, like, kind of in her active addiction, I was kind of with my dad most of the time. My brother was with my dad as well, and he kind of got, not married, but he was with my stepmom from 5 all the way up to my freshman year to high school. Okay. Is when they kind of broke up. So, like I said, I was really close with my dad's family, so I was really with my grandmother. I'm still a grandmother's baby. And it was by choice that I went to my grandmother's house. Like, I could have stayed with my dad, but I was a grandmama's baby, and she kind of nurtured me a lot, too. A lot of people always said I was the favorite grandchild. I am. And so I was close with them, but I was also close with my mom's side of the family too. So yeah. I had both of my families, side of my families around. But I had more of a father figure than a mother figure in my life outside of my grandmother, because if she heard this, she's going to get mad. So it was really my dad and my uncle, who was my mom's brother, who really kind of molded me to be the woman I am today as well. And I think that when I was like really from about 8 all the way to my 8th grade year in middle school, it was a lot of broken promises from my mother in that process, and I think that traumatized me a lot it made me hyper independent. And the reason I say that is because, like, I know this might sound crazy, but I do not like the word no. Instead of hearing the word no, I just go get it myself. And I would say now that I do have a village in my life now, and I do have a support system, and sometimes I don't use that because my pride is too big and I don't want to ask, and that can be detrimental to my mental health. So yeah, and then throughout 8th through 8th grade, I would say I had a lot of freedom, but I still didn't do what I wanted to do, if you get what I'm saying. Like, once I hit high school, I could go out the house without asking, and I did. I went with my cousins and stuff, but I wasn't doing anything wild. Definitely was fighting in high school, but as far as just like doing anything like wild and bizarre, no. I had a boyfriend, and that's when I got pregnant with my son when I was 17, and that was probably like one of the hardest moments of my life because me and his dad was not close. Like, it was not a good pregnancy. It was so bad that it almost killed me. Like, I went into preeclampsia from stress, too much blood clogs, too much fluid on me. My blood pressure was stroke level. Like, that was detrimental. And then not having my mom there to support me was detrimental. And then not only that, having her there after I gave birth, but her not being present was, like, even more of a killer, because it's like you're here, but you're not here. So, like, after I had my baby, I had catheters, and I got put on something called magnesium, and it was kind of like somebody literally puts a brick on top of you. Literally puts a brick on top of you. Mind you, I could not move out of the bed because I had a catheter. So I was literally, like, my bed was right here, and my baby was right here, and, like, the only way I could get him was, like, grabbing him out the, what is it, little baby carriage? Yeah, the crib.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up, and it was the director of nursing in a chair, and she was rocking my baby. And I was like, what's going on? She was like, oh, they called me in because they said you needed some help. So I just remember her sitting right there, and then my mom right here. And I remember my uncle saying that he called my mom up there, and I was like, you called her up here? He was like, yeah, she's on her way. She came up there, and it was just, like, I don't think that I experienced postpartum depression, but I think that if I wasn't strong enough, I would have definitely experienced it. But I was definitely going through depression during, like, after the process of being in the hospital, because I was in the hospital like 4 or 5 days after I gave birth as well. But when I came home, it was like a culture shock. It's like a real culture shock. Like, oh my gosh, I have a baby. What are we going to do? And then not having that mother around, like a mother to tell you how to be a mother, and like physically tell you, and the only image you have of somebody showing you to be a mother is how you were treated when you was 5 years old. Because at the time, me and my grandmother were not close either when I had my baby. She was mad at me because I had named my son a K instead of a J, and all of us is J. And at the time, I just thought it was so petty, but I definitely understand it because it was like a generational history. Like, all of her grandkids, 13 of us, start with a J. So me and her was not speaking at the time, and I basically just felt like I did not have anybody, because my uncle, he could not tell me what to do. Like, he was the man. Right. And I had no woman whatsoever around me except his wife, and she didn't know really that much because all her kids was older. She hadn't had a kid in forever. So I think that was really, every stage in life, I'm always going to think, like, what would it be like if my mother was here? Like, this week, I just have been going through a lot of life. Yeah. Just life decisions, being an adult and being an entrepreneur, and just figuring out how to navigate stuff, and just wanting to be able to pick up the phone and get some advice from my mother, because she has that hustle mentality just like I do. That's where I got it from her. And I think that a lot of people around me, and it ain't a bad thing, they just haven't done what I'm trying to do, so they don't really understand, and they can't give me the advice I'm looking for. So I think that navigating through life with my mother is so difficult. I feel like I have healed from it, but not fully. I think there's going to always be a missing piece. And I say that because, like, there was just moments, I remember 2 years ago, where I just would always, I wouldn't even say it was a once a month thing, but it was just an always thing where I would just really feel down and depressed, like, oh my gosh, like, I don't have my mother. I'm getting emotional. But it was just always a state where I was like, I don't have my mother. I need my mother. Like, why is she being so selfish? Like, one thing about me that everybody knows about me is I'm going to communicate my needs. Like, if I need you to do something for me, I'm going to communicate it. So you can't be like, well, I can't read minds. I'm telling you what's on my mind, so I don't need you to read it. And when I was getting my license in 2021, August 2021, my uncle, I have 2 uncles, he passed away. Fell down the stairs, hit his head, and that was like when I learned strength. I learned strength because I was 20 years old, planning a funeral. Because my family could not handle it, so I was like, okay, I'll put y'all on my back. Let's go. But let's get it figured out. And so after that, I almost did not graduate. I was 1 hour away from not graduating esthetician school. Because his funeral was September 8th. I graduated September 29th. My birthday was September 24th. So I had to miss events for my birthday just to make sure I had passed school. I scheduled my license. I passed my theory scheduled my practical in December. The day that, I will never forget this, the day that I had my practical was the day I dropped my mama off at rehab. So when she told me she wanted to go to rehab, I think we were into it. Something happened where we were not talking. So I was like, she called me. She was like, she needed help. So I remember standing in my partner's living room. And I'm like, listen, this is the last time I'm going to help her. If she do not do right, then I'm washing my hands. Absolutely washing my hands. Like, I cannot keep going through this. So we got her in rehab. I dropped her off the day of, and I almost, like, if we're late, like 1 minute late, you cannot take that test. So I barely made it on time to take that test, and she didn't even have the decency to call me and tell me that she was leaving rehab 3 days later. Like, I found out through somebody else that she was leaving.
Now, was rehab supposed to be longer than just the 3 days? Like, how long was that? And had she been in and out of rehab prior, or was this her first time going?
This was not her first time going. This is probably like her fourth or fifth time going to rehab. She's been out of state before, that I know of. She has got sober, like, being in jail. That was the only time I've ever seen my mom sober since she was, like, an addict. I don't remember what year it was, but she was in jail for, like, a month. And she came home, and she was so sober. We got into it, and she relapsed.
So it's got to be... had to have been difficult growing up and, like, seeing those times where, okay, she's in rehab, and then thinking maybe this is going to be the time.
I think I've lost... I don't want to say I lost hope, but I think it's not even that I lost hope. I just try not to get my hopes up because I know it will let me down. Like, recently, like, probably 2 months ago, I heard that she was supposed to be getting sober. Then she's back out with the wrong crowd. So it was like, I didn't even think much of it this time. I was like, okay, if she do, I'm not going to intervene. Like, this is not for me to put my hands on. This is for God to put his hands on. So I'm not going to intervene. I'm going to let his do his work. And if this is meant for you, this is what's going to happen. But I'm not going to let this be detrimental to my mental health because I have too much going on and I have too much to lose.
Yeah. Was that the moment, or were there any moments before where you kind of defined as, like, this is not...
I think it was a little bit before that. I wouldn't even say it was when she left rehab because, I don't even think I was very cold-hearted when she left rehab. Like, I was mad. I was mad. But I think that January of 2023 was when I was like, okay, we're going to have to figure out what's going on. Like, we're going to have to figure out what's going on with Jhaniyah. How can she heal from this? How can I heal from this situation? And I feel like it was like that because it was like, I'm really big on if you cannot pour into yourself, you cannot pour into others. So, like, if I'm down bad and if my mental health is not right, I don't want to touch nobody's face. My vibes are real. Energy transfers. So I have to make sure I'm always okay, but also giving myself grace. Like, I feel like it's important to give yourself grace, and I never learned that. Like, I was taught as a black woman to always keep going, be strong, keep going, be strong, keep going, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just detrimental to your mental health, too. And now I'm in, like, a soft era where I, like, give myself grace and cry a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my gosh.
How has that changed you as a person? Do you feel like that has... been beneficial to you as an individual? Do you feel like it's been beneficial to you as a mom? Like, yes. How has that benefited you?
I feel like it has been, number one, I want to speak on the motherhood first. I feel like this has been detrimental because I had always, like, since I became a mother, wanted to teach my son how to be very emotional intelligent. So, like, if his feelings are hurt or if I hurt his feelings as a mother, I want him to be able to say that. So, just to be honest, like, when I get overstimulated, I raise my voice. But also, I was raised in a household with 7 other kids. I'm the oldest of all my siblings, so we were always screaming. So I'm naturally loud.
Yes.
But also, when I get overstimulated, I raise my voice, and I could tell that was affecting my child. So I was like, okay, Cash, do that affect you? So, like, I haven't did it in so long thinking about it, but, like, when it was and I had to teach myself to stop, he was like, Mama, I do not like when you raise your voice. That's mean. And I was like, oh. We're gonna have to work on ourselves. And then also just with everything that I do, like, it's important to give myself grace and really pay attention to my emotions because we can easily get mad and not think logically and do anything. Like, I feel like sometimes I had to learn my emotions because sometimes we say stuff out of our mouth that we don't mean.
Right.
And I really had to learn that, and just being intentional with what you say, especially being in a professional workplace where I was where I am as an esthetician. It's 2 of us that do not have a college degree, and it's 30 people on our floor, and everybody has a college degree. So that was very intimidating, and it still is intimidating. But I knew I belonged, and I knew that God opened that door for me. And there's just so much that I don't agree with in that state that makes me very mad. And I have to like control my emotions and give myself grace and say, okay, it's okay for you to feel like that, but the way you want to react is not okay. So the way that has worked for me, it has made me heal. It has truly, truly helped me heal in so many ways. Journaling, writing down stuff, and going to the gym and just sweating off those stress levels. Like, I don't think that I would be alive right now without the gym or without God. Seriously. And I've always grew up. I don't think I'm really big on, it's not about religion, it's about relationships. So if somebody say they're not religion, I don't care. But if you say you have a relationship with somebody, I love that. And I've always been around the church since I was born. My granny has. But I feel like my relationship with God has really grew the last 2 years, especially after my car wreck, where I really had to sit in the house for 3 weeks and like no money whatsoever. I needed a new car and I had to pay my rent, and I had to really sit down and wake up. I remember waking up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting up and praying, and just being a literal stay-at-home mom. And my rent got paid, and I got a car 3 weeks later with $900 in my pocket because of the insurance company. So I called my dealer and I was like, listen, I need a car. All I have is $900. He came and got me from my house and took me to his car lot to give me a car. He was like, listen, you've never had a late payment. I'm going to help you. And as soon as I got my car, I went to my house. I had a box that had change in it. I had $12 in change. I went and got me some gas, and I was door dashing until I had got back into a different level where I was stable.
Yeah.
So, grit.
Wow. Absolutely. Wow. That's incredible. I love that. Yeah. And door dashing is not easy.
Absolutely not. I do not like doing it no more.
So there was a time back, this was pre-COVID, so I'm thinking it was like around 2017, 18, where I Ubered. And same thing. Like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah. And if you don't have a certain status, you're not making that much money. You're not.
Yeah.
You literally, it's like having a job. Like, it's not fast money, like people say. Now, if you need about $20, $50 to go get your baby some Pampers, that'll work. But if you need to pay $1,200 in rent in 2 weeks, baby, you're going to be working every day.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, where do you feel like the support came from for you? Do you feel like it was solely God? Do you feel like it was a combination of God and your family and your internal strength? And if you have that internal strength,
I got some internal strength.
I believe it. I see it.
I feel like it was God, but also God placed a lot of people in my life. Like, so I was in the streets, and I remember I was on a car ride with somebody I was dating. It was like our first time together. And he was like, "What's your exit plan?" And I'm like, "What's my exit plan?" He was like, "What? You can't do this forever. Like, you're gonna be dead or in jail." Mind you, at the time, my son dad was getting sentenced. And I was like, okay, I gotta step my game up because he's impressive. Like, if I want him, I gotta step my game up. So I did that, and that's when I got in school. So again, I just say that to all say, like, it's really about who is in your life. Like, be intentional about who you place in your life, and God put spirits on people that wants them to help you. Like, I feel like I would not be here today if I did not have the help I need. If my grandmother did not help me, if my daddy, like, me and my daddy had some traumatic events together. Like, me and my daddy has not always had a good relationship, but last year on Mother's Day, he was like, "I apologize to you." Like, I think that was like a very patch. Like, he closed that patch in our relationship that we was missing. And so I'm very close to my dad now, but me and my daddy has not always been close either. Like, we done got in fights before, which I never really got whoopings as a kid. I was a good kid. The only problem my family really had with me when I was a teenager was they didn't want me smoking. But I was really just exploring, really. Yeah. And I think that was really just because they see my potential. Like, I've always had the potential. And I think that is why I get support from the people I get support from. But what I'm learning now is, now that I wouldn't say that I'm getting this type of status, but now that I'm where I'm at in life, is a lot of people just want to be included with you just to say they're included with you. Like, it's not intentional, you know. Like with my job, I feel like that originally, and the reason I feel like I'm quitting is because I did not get in it for, yes, it was the purpose, but also it was the money side. Like, okay, I'm going to be able to live stable legally. And that is not why I should have got in. I should have been doing more research onto, like, what does this job consist of. And I'm very kinetic. Like, I cannot sit at a computer every day. Like, that's not me. I have to move around. I have to be talking to people and engaging. And it's hard for me to do this kind of work that I'm doing when I know there is people that are literally dying. Like, yes, we need the data, and yes, we need the statistics, but also we need solutions. And either we can come up with solutions, or I'm going to go get my own solution. Like, that's me. Like, either it ain't even my way or the highway. It's not even that. It's like, let's collaboratively work together to fix these problems. Let's not just say the problems are there. Like, let's be solution based. And once we're not doing that, and I'm not feeling heard, that's a problem for me. That's a big problem for me. I have to be heard. Like, I know my opinion and my insights are valuable. I know that I am valuable. So if you're not hearing me, I can just go into another room where I know I will be heard. So
that's very true. And a lot of people feel like they can't do that. They feel like if they're in a room where their voice isn't valued, then they feel like they're not valuable.
Yeah.
They allow other people's opinions to state their value for them.
I've battled with that a little bit. Not now, but definitely before. But now I'm, like, really learning my worth and tapping in with myself and really being self-aware. Like, self-accountability is important too. Like, we have to have self-accountability as adults. And I'm 22, and as I'm getting older and the days go by, I'm really realizing that there is a lot of lack of self-accountability. A lot of it. And what does America look like with no self-accountability?
Kind of scary.
Yeah. When you think about it, it is. Especially raising a black young son and having a black young brother. And my brother is 17. And we bump heads a lot, but he knows that his sister got him. But at the same time, I really don't think that he understands I don't think he understands life, period. And it's just, yeah.
Wow. So what does it look like for you on the day-to-day, like creating a life that's beautiful to you?
Okay, you want what I want or what I do?
Well, both.
Both.
Like,
okay.
Yeah. So what are you doing, and what do you hope for?
So I have always dreamed to, like, be like, how I always picture myself as, like, waking up in the morning, going to the gym, like, living in a nice neighborhood. Like, I don't want a big old mansion, but just living in a nice neighborhood, being on the phone to, like, call my managers to check on the spas and having meetings. I don't just want a spa. I also want a spa that has a conference room where we offer free workshops to, like, people coming out of high school that want to do entrepreneurship. So I'm a failed college student, and I feel like college was pressured on me because I am smart, but I also feel like I would have been more successful coming out as an entrepreneur if I had the resources, not just doing it on my own, because it's still a struggle for me not really having no navigation and knowing what to do, being that nobody around me is doing it. So that is my dream. Like, that's what I want things to be like. And just traveling a little bit. I love to travel. And being able to take care of my family. Like, being able to pick the kids up and going to breakfast before school, or just going anywhere. Like, that's what I love to do. Now, I do a little bit. I feel like I'm manifesting that in my life because I try to slick incorporate that, but sometimes I be spending too much money. So what I usually do is, I wish I was a 5 a.m. girly still, but I am not. I used to get up at 5 a.m. and like go to the gym, get him ready for school, drop him off, and start my day. But a normal, typical day for me is really getting up probably about 6 a.m., getting him to school by 7:38. Then I usually go to the gym after that, go home, get ready. I either probably have to go to the spa that day or go to my office. If I go to the office, so I'm currently working on a project with the United Way of Greater Knoxville where we're doing research on child access in Knoxville as a whole.
Okay.
And that has been mentally tough for me, being the traumatic experience that me and my son went through at his school. And being put on this project 2 weeks before. And again, this is what I mean by, like, being heard. Like, there's a lot of things that is going on with this project that are, I wouldn't say I'm being heard. It's just, like, I really can't do nothing because I only have so much power. But I'm being heard. It's just not no action behind it. And it's not even my job's issue. Like, they can't really do nothing about it. But, yeah. So when I first went on, I've been at my job for about a year, and this was really the best thing I feel like I've done in community work was partnership with UT Medical Center. And we built health equity profiles for 21 counties in southeastern Tennessee. So I encountered by myself, and with support too behind me, but I was the person over this. Like, I was over this part of the project, was gathering 141 people, 18 focus groups, 26 interviews, and that was hard. It was mental tough. Like, that was like the busiest I've been in my life, and I think that I was going so hard in 2023 from January all the way to September that I was completely burnt out. October and December, like, no courage to do anything, and I'm really trying not to do that this year. Like, I'm trying to be intentional about balancing things out, because we all want to elevate and feel like we need to work. And we do have to work hard to get to where we're at, but you still have to give yourself grace and get rest, because then once you're burnt out, how are you going to work?
Right.
So back to that project, what we did was we did focus groups in those 21 counties and interviews with stakeholders. And it was hard, but it was fun. So I guess that's why I wasn't just, like, burnt out during the process. But I was literally, like, going to work from 11 to jumping in the car rider line, because he was getting out of school at 1:15. I'm in the car rider line doing interviews, trying to pick him up, get home, therapy, It was just a lot, and I was like so busy. And also traveling to different counties: Scott County, Roane County, Union County, Anderson County, Fentress, all those counties. And then having to be back, and then having to depend on my support system. I haven't really mentioned his side of the family. I guess you can tell by my face. I wouldn't say we have the best relationship, but his great grandmother is still alive, and I love that woman to death. Like, he is close with his grandmother the same way I was, and I really love that for him. Like, I love that. But I think that I'm very opinionated, so I don't really get along with his sister, his dad's sister. And me and his dad mom has had our words, but she kind of is respectful now, and receptive of my opinions and my authority and my boundaries, because, like, at the end of the day, I'm the sole provider of my child. I have a village, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't have help, but at the end of the day, I am a single parent. Like, can't nobody justify that, you know? So, yeah.
So, talk to me a little bit about all the resources that helped you and are still continuing to help you. Because, like, right now, like we talked about, this trauma of having a mother that's an addict and coming through that. So, talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay. So,
you mentioned journaling, and you mentioned exercise.
So after my car wreck, I had got into a program with an nonprofit organization called Seed, and they had a program called Career Readiness Program. And originally, I wouldn't say I was just doing it for the money, but I knew that was some type of income because I didn't have a job after my car wreck. But also, I wanted to do it just to kind of see what I could benefit for my own business. And I had built so many relationships in that program. I became a board member for Alliance for Integrated Awareness off of someone I met in that program. And she's my mentor now. Like, that was one of my resources. That's how I got my job. And my boss is very supportive too, to a certain extent. So that's one of my resources. My partner, he is very supportive too. Like, he just spit me up and chewed me out last week, and I cried. But I needed it. And it was just basically him telling me, like, God has opened this door for you to quit your job. You need to do it. Like, stop calling me complaining. Do what you need to do. So having those type of people in your life that's going to hold you accountable is important for me, because there has been, especially with me being the oldest of my kid, I was always the higher person in the room. You know, I had nobody better than me. You have to have somebody better than you around you. I feel like that is necessary. And I did a fellowship last year with Cities United, and that was the best moment of my life. I'm still close with every single person I was in my cohort with.
Oh, wow.
And that opened up so many resources for me, but it also gave me friendships that I'll have for life. Like, me and my fellows are very, very close. And they brought me so much motivation. Like, all of them we was all doing good stuff, but one of them is traveling overseas to study. Like, it was for community violence. Gun violence intervention is what the fellowship was for.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And one of them lives in Atlanta. He goes to Morehouse. One person went to Harvard. She's doing a lot of community work in Louisville, Kentucky. One is in Virginia doing a lot of work. So, like, we're all spread it out.
Yeah.
One of them is a president at a college. I forgot what college she's at, but she's from Memphis. Like, we're all doing good stuff. And, again, I needed those people around me to help me, like, get out of my old ways and just being stagnant on my growth.
Yes.
But we had a convening in October for a week in Atlanta. And it was 800 people there. And we were basically like the center of attention because we were there to graduate from our cohort. But I met so many people. Like, I remember being in the hotel lobby with the director of gun violence prevention from the White House and just like really chopping it up for him. And I don't remember what the question was, but I remember what his answer was to the question. He was like, don't care about what nobody say about you. Like, I'm 30 years old and I'm in the White House now. He was like, don't care about it. You just keep going. I think it was like something about like, how do you elevate with barriers of people, like living in Knoxville that is predominantly white, and being a black woman. I think that was my question. And he was just like, don't care about what people think about you. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And it was just so many different people in that room. I spoke on a panel while I was there. And, like, having people walk up to me and was like, oh, my gosh, Jhaniyah, I just need your number. Like, we need to connect. Da-da-da-da-da. That was, like, a surreal moment for me because it's like, I am doing something good. You know, I am motivating people. And I wouldn't say I don't get that love in Knoxville, but just not that's so big. Like, I was overwhelmed and I was sick. Like, I was so sick before I left, I almost died. Like, I was so sick that they were literally giving me waters and snacks during the meeting. Like, I was like, okay, just watch me. My coworker came up there. She was like, are you about to faint? Like, she was watching me. We was at probably like 7 o'clock at night, one of the events, because we were working from like 8 to 8 for the whole week we were up there. And she made me go lay down. The staff that was over me, she was like, go lay down. Like, you have talked to enough people. Like, you're burnt. Like, it was crazy. But I just knew that I felt like the devil was trying to come in between my assignment. So I was like, listen, I don't care what happened. We finishing this out. And we finished it out. And it was just the most amazing experience ever. Like, so far, I know will always be something greater. But that was like the most wonderful experience of my life so far because I met so many people that I'll always be close with. Yeah. And then my village down here, my grandmother, my father, my partner, them three, they riding with me. They riding. Yeah. Any idea I got, they gonna ride it because they know that I'm going to accomplish the goal. And that was something he said to me. He was like, a lot of people don't have the cushion that you have. And I think that is something that I need to realize. Like, I do have support instead of being hyper independent. Like, oh, I don't have nobody. Oh, I don't need anybody. We all need somebody. It don't matter if they are in physical form or not. We all need somebody. If you think that you don't need nobody, okay, I try it out. Come to me and see how it work out for you. Yes. So I think that is important. And I had to realize that again. I need somebody. I had to get out of that mindset. Yeah. I had to.
I love that. We all do. I have a great support system now, and I couldn't do any of this without a person right there.
We love teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's our motto in our household.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, 2 things for you. Okay. 1, for any young female that is maybe finds themselves in your shoes with a parent that's an addict and trying to navigate life, what would you say to them?
Cry. Cry it out. And keep pushing. Like, don't let that have you sitting in the bed for 5 days being depressed, because life go on, but also you have your life to live too. You can't live in the darkness of their life. Like, that is something I had to realize, is like, okay, I can't let this dictate me. I can't let this define me. That's a piece of my life that I'm going to always talk about. I'm talking about it right now.
Right.
But also, I cannot let that define me, because I'm going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We're going somewhere. My family is going right behind me. Like, I have people depending on me. I have my siblings and my little cousins that look up to me. My cousin just told me she looked me up on the internet when I picked her up, because I always go get my little cousins at least every few weeks to take them to the park. And she was like, I looked you up on the internet. She's 9. So just keeping in mind that somebody is looking up to you, whether you see it or not. Somebody is watching you in a good way. Yes. And also, again, I'm going to say it again, cry it out.
I love that advice. I love that advice. Mm-hmm. So, coming out of my own trauma, I found life coaching that was very beneficial for me personally. Everybody has their own thing that they find and that is very helpful for them, and that was very helpful to me. And that's what led me to become a certified life coach. Okay. And in part of that, I think it's really important to work on our mindset, because our mind is like literally the one thing that we actually can control. Exactly. And so many people don't realize it. Yes. Yeah. So in that, I tell my clients to look for something that's been within the last 24 hours that they can be grateful for. 3 things. And it's not your big overarching,
I'm going to say something real small.
Family. Please do. Tell me 3 things, if you can. Think of them, that you're grateful for that have happened within the last 24 hours. Okay.
First of all, I got to go home and watch the TV last night, and I fell asleep, and I slept so good last night in the bed by myself. 2 was that my son woke up in a very good mood this morning. It was like being such a big boy, like made up the bed by himself. It's just been good. Yeah. 3 was that he had his first T-ball sign up today.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so fun. So,
very small, very small. And we woke up breathing.
Small but big.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Love it. Okay, Jhaniyah, tell everybody where they can find you if they want to find your business.
So the name of my business is Klashed Aesthetics, KLASHED AESTHETICS.
I'll link it up in the show notes too.
So you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me by my real name on Facebook, Jhaniyah Holland. I am located right in between Olive Garden and Chili's on Kingston Pike at Images Grooming and Spa. Okay. My hours will be changing really soon. Because I will be going back full time, and I will be working 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. So yeah, that's where you can find me at. And I have a website, which is Klashed Aesthetics as well. One thing I did not mention is I sell medical scrubs, so you can find that on my website as well.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to see where you go.
I know.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on here and for being so open. I appreciate you.
It was amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm hot.